Hello, welcome to our new podcast, Silver Screen Shenanigans, where we sit down, watch a movie, and give our own goofy takes. My name is Devin, and my favorite movie, well, specifically horror movie, is probably Sinister.
All right, my name's Jacob, and I gotta pick between two because my favorite horror movie as a kid was Halloween, but one horror movie that really scarred me for life was The Collector. So,
What's up? My name's Riley, and I wasn't really a huge horror fan for a long time, so I've only recently gotten into horror movies. But I think the one horror movie that really has stuck with me through all these years has to be Centipede. Dude, that one just it's disgusting.
I'm Emma, and I would say my favorite horror movie is Split. I'm not a huge horror movie fan, but I liked Split.
That was a good one.
It was.
I haven't seen it
Yeah,
yet.
And Glass.
I haven't used it.
I haven't seen it. I plan on watching them. There's a trilogy of them.
Yeah, Split is the first one, Glass is the second, and Unbreakable is the third one.
There's one before it.
Unbreakable is actually the first one. It's the first one that ever came out.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I didn't
Split's
know
the
that.
second one, and then Glass is the last one.
Before we get too down the rabbit hole
Sorry.
of other horror movies, no, it's fine. It's going to happen. I know it will.
Definitely.
But today we're going to be looking at 1980s horror mystery classic, The Shining, based off of the book by Stephen King by the same name. Fun fact, Stephen King hated this movie because it, for the most part, has nothing to do with the book. And the Overlook Hotel itself is based off of the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, where Stephen King stayed the night with his wife to get the original idea for the book. It's directed by Stanley Kubrick, who is a great director in his own right, but in this one, at least in the eyes of Stephen King, missed the mark. Prominent actors that are featured in this film are Jack Nicholson, Danny Lloyd, and Shelley Duvall. First off, I guess maybe we can just kind of dive into the summary of the movie. Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, becomes a winter caretaker for the isolated Overlook Hotel in Colorado, hoping to cure his writer's block. He settles along with his wife, Wendy, and his son, Danny. From the very beginning, Danny is plagued by psychic premonitions, and it only gets worse as the movie goes on. Jack becomes more isolated and more disturbed as Danny's visions also become worse. Jack discovers an evil in the hotel, and he begins to unravel and becomes a homicidal maniac hell-bent on terrorizing his family. Overall themes of the movie, I don't know what you guys had. Basically what I had was isolation of the human psyche, claustrophobia, and delusion. And I don't know if you guys had if you can agree with those themes or if you had any more to add.
Yeah. I mean, he just keeps getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
As the movie goes on, he just gets worse and worse and worse.
So like maybe deterioration also.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that going somewhere to to isolate yourself is a good idea to help with anything.
No.
Especially in the brink of winter.
Oh, absolutely.
Snowstorms, yeah.
Because everybody needs a break eventually, right? And
sure.
isolating with yourself for how many months? Was it 6 months? 5 months?
I couldn't do even a week. I don't think I could do a single week by myself.
No, that's why isolation chambers in prisons are a thing. It's torture.
This is going to date the podcast already, but in the year of the pandemic, we were locked up for however long, and it was getting boring. It was getting bad. We got out of it, and we were like, how do we interact with people?
Yeah. Luckily, you could leave your house and go for a walk, but if you couldn't, it would have been so much worse.
Yeah. And it's also, kind of an interesting thing. That's, how Stephen King got the idea is he drove up to the Stanley Hotel just before it was closing for the winter, and they were like, everybody's gone. We can't take you in, but it was, Colorado in the winter, so there was nowhere else to go. So they take pity on him, and they have Stephen King and his wife stay the winter there, and that's how he gets this idea of isolation, because he himself spent an entire winter in a hotel by himself.
Wait, did he actually stay there the whole time?
So you're telling me this is based on a true story?
Semi.
He almost did all that to his family?
Yeah.
Actually?
Kind of weird.
No.
No,
Yeah.
of course not.
Thing where he gets the idea is,
I mean, he must have seen the caregiver, like the winter worker guy. He's probably like, this would suck to do.
There has to be more than one person running a whole hotel.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think there were like, it wasn't them, obviously by themselves. It was like more. It was like a couple people there running it, like keep day-to-day stuff. But they were the only people staying there. But one night he has a dream, and I could be wrong, but I think it's the room 217 is the room that he stayed in.
That's the room number.
I think it's different.
It's 237.
I think it is different.
I think it's different in the
Yeah,
movie because
but-
they changed it in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was like they didn't think people would want to stay in the room anymore. That
Yeah.
room's booked for years.
Yeah.
That was probably not a smart idea.
But at the Stanley, it's 217, right? That's the, yeah.
So he has a dream there one night, and he wakes up, he thinks, but he's still dreaming. He runs out into the hallway, and his son's screaming in the hallway. And you know those old hoses they would have in hotels on each floor for fires?
Firefighters? Yeah.
It unravels and eats his son.
Like a snake?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Ain't that like
sick.
Poltergeist?
Sick.
Hey, don't they do it in the
Right.
Poltergeist movie?
I don't know. I haven't seen Poltergeist.
I haven't either.
I have. I saw the remake. It was pretty all right.
Pretty all right. Then he wakes up and he's like, wait, my son's not even here. And then he walks out on the balcony, and the balcony's still there, which is pretty cool. I know, yeah, you guys have been there. You saw the balcony.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets within 5 minutes of standing out on the balcony, he gets the plot of The Shining. So it's just that idea that it's always pretty cool where like art imitates life. It always happens over and over and over again, and it's like super good here because all he had to do is he just had a dream in this hotel. And there's plenty of other stories of really weird things happening in 217. And that's how you get the spooky room. That's how you get the book, the idea, the movie, everything itself.
I got some questions for you before because we mentioned going there in real life. So, Devin, me, and Emma have all been to the Stanley Hotel. You took the more in-depth tour. We couldn't because it was all booked when we went.
Right. I couldn't. There's two of them, like the day tour, which was more of the history stuff and a little bit of the spooky stuff. And then the night tour was all paranormal stuff.
Okay, so my questions are, there's quite a few. Did they actually film in the Stanley Hotel? Because, like, what we saw when we went didn't look like anything from...
No, it's not the same building.
Okay, that was my first question. Second question is, was there actually murders there? Like, that story, like...
There's never been a murder in the Stanley Hotel.
Never?
No.
Okay, in the movie, they also talked about building on Indian land, like burial site. Is that true as well?
Probably.
Because I knew you did the tour. I didn't know.
I mean, it's possible. Like, I didn't...
Why would you build on top of an Indian burial site?
They even said in the movie, yeah, we had to fight a couple off to build it, but we did it.
That was awful. That was an awful idea.
Does it actually close for the winter? Does it like now?
I bet you now, probably not.
I mean,
because,
Colorado
I know, I would
winters
feel-
are crazy.
they are
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
Did you walk up some of the hikes though? You walk up, there's buildings up on the mountains. They close those down because they can't shovel those roads. But yeah, that's something I thought was fascinating. This super haunted place, never a murder. It's just these people. They say the only people that stick around, quote unquote, stick around, are the people who had a good time here, and that's where their soul comes back to.
Ooh, that
So
sounds
like there's like a ghost maid, there's rich people, there's little girls.
you know what? When I die, I'm gonna go clean this place. I'm just gonna go clean a bunch.
Sage it up real good.
I have a question. Should we ruin the hedge, like the maze for him? Should we ruin that? Or is that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
Is it
there's
not real?
there's no hedge maze at the Stanley
What?
Hotel.
Yeah.
It's
It's like a
completely
foot
made.
tall.
It's completely.
It's a foot tall hedge maze,
Yeah,
so
basically.
you could walk over it. You could just be
could
like,
if
you
you
know
want.
what?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I don't really want to go through this whole thing. I'm just gonna step over.
They made that hedge maze after the movie came out because people showed up to the hotel and was like, "Where's the maze?"
So it's been growing for years now, and they're just like, just give it us 10 more years,
But
okay?
even
We
then,
promise.
It's not even a maze. It's just like a giant
A path.
U, just like several paths through it.
That is so.
And their trees about
So
like
upset.
5 foot tall or so.
I've
yeah.
never been so disappointed in my entire
Oh,
life.
also, the building right in the movie is not the same, right? Like from
Correct.
the outside, it is super small compared to the movie. Like I was actually underwhelmed when I went. I was expecting a lot more. There's a bunch of more buildings and the land's pretty big, but it's just like one white building. It doesn't even look like the movie at all.
Goodness.
Stanley Hotel is open year round, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Year round.
I feel like
And
they
they're
have that.
booked all the time, I bet.
Fuck
Yeah.
I guarantee.
Ooh,
It's
another-
$500 a night, I think, to stay in the room 217.
That's insane.
Here's a little quick fact. When we were there, like all the room keys, they still have them at the front desk. That little thing in the movie, like it had like the front desk with all the keys. It was actually like, it looks pretty accurate.
Like lock and key.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
actual lock,
Oh, that's
like
pretty
a
sick.
lock and key,
You
and
don't see those very often.
and
anymore.
they're all hanging up by their number, right? And there's only one different key. Did you see that, Devin, when you went? That's 217's key. It looks different than the rest of them.
It's spooky, dude.
All right. Okay. all right. That's too much.
I'll tell you a movie that was filmed there. At least some scenes. Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
The scene where like Jim Carrey runs up the stairway, like I'll race you. That's the stairway. It's the red stairway with the carpet.
Also the bar, right?
The bar.
Yeah. The bar
Where
scene.
he kills the
Par-
owl.
Oh, yes, the owl.
Endangered owl or something.
Oh, they come in the orange and the white suits.
It's blue.
Oh, right.
And,
It's like light blue.
I mean, it's still on topic. Jim Carrey stayed in room 217 because he was a huge fan of Stephen King.
Sick.
And like he's 2 a.m. or something. He runs down in his underwear and he's like, "Guys, I'm not going back in that room." And to this day, in interviews, how many years later, doesn't talk about it. He doesn't talk about what happened. And
Probably woke up and something was at the foot of his bed.
yeah, some
If I
some
was
stuff
to
like
wake
that.
up and something was like near me, and I didn't expect it to be, I am freaking out.
Uh-huh. And
that
in
would
the
be awful.
contract for Dumb and Dumber 2, he had it. I'm not going back to the Stanley. Not going back.
Yeah.
So
Every movie, he's like, put it in the contract. I'm not going back to this building.
Are the rooms that big? Before we move on,
I didn't go in a room.
you didn't go in the room on tour.
You didn't spend the night in the hotel?
Why would I do that?
Oh, I don't know. So you just went there for like, oh, I'm going to do a day tour.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
You did see room 217, though,
I
right?
saw the
The
outside
door?
of it.
Does
Is
it
it-
look any different?
And like you guys saw the plate, right, of 217.
oh, we couldn't. The doors were locked.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it
I
only
mean, you
opened
saw
against-
like the room number,
Right. Yeah.
People, it's like plated to the wall now because
Oh,
people have
kept
stolen it.
stealing it. I mean, makes sense, right?
Yeah. So kind of going back to like the movie itself, like it's well, I mean, this is kind of like that. It's like tied in mystery isolation. The real life place and the place itself. There's misconceptions about both of them. It's just it makes sense that it's a horror movie because it's wrapped in mystery and it's in real life and in the movie.
Definitely.
But yeah, speaking of the story itself, the strength of it, it's like a lot of horror movies, I think. It's super simple. This guy gets hired. He was a teacher. He gets hired. He goes to this place, and he gets some disconcerting news about the people before him, but he's like, that's fine. And
He doesn't even think about it.
No.
He's like, so these people before you, they chopped up their daughters, and he's like, really? Cool.
My wife's
He
into
didn't
that.
care.
You
He
hear him
didn't
say
really
that?
care.
Did you hear him
yeah,
talk
he's
about
like,
his wife?
yeah, my wife, she would love to hear that. She loves spooky things.
she's into that. But yeah, they just, things go south from there. But it's also a slow burn. Like the
so
first
slow.
the first like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, nothing happens, dude.
Actually, false.
No, absolutely nothing happens.
No, like what
The
are you
kid
talking
passes
about?
out. That's it.
I guess I'm talking about like when they first get to the hotel. Is that what you're talking about?
Right. No, everything before that.
Okay.
Yeah, everything before they get to the
Well,
hotel.
Actually, I guess finding out that Danny has
Tom,
Tony.
Tony.
the
Tony.
shine.
Well, yeah, the shine in his
Yeah.
finger.
But even then, we
He's
knew
a little
something
boy
was
who
kind of
lives in
going to go
my
down
throat.
because Tony already knew his dad had the job
Right.
in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and then he got the visions of the
So that's how you know immediately that there's some supernatural stuff going on.
Should I ask this about Tony yet?
Tony's
like,
big
or
brained.
does it Tony get
Yeah.
more explained later on? It's
Tony gets more explained later
Okay, I won't say.
on. But you find out because it's like, Tony says something like he's about to call your
He's
mom.
gonna call in a couple minutes.
That he got the job, and it's like, how did he know? How did Jack know that? Or I mean, how did Danny know that already? So it's like it's already alluding to like he has this possibly a power that sees the future.
I had a question about that whole episode where
Where he freaks out in the bathroom.
yes, because obviously a doctor gets called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what happened? Did he pass out, or did he do like that seizing thing he does maybe later?
I think it was the seizing thing.
I believe so. He because he just fell down, right? And then his mom ran in and he was seizing on the floor.
Because he got the visions of the blood and the girls, right?
Yeah.
He probably would have when he sees the next time he was laying in the bed. So if he was standing up, he probably would have fell over like he did in the bathroom. It's just I'd imagine since he's young, he's not in control or aware
unable
of
to-
what's happening.
Gotcha.
He probably doesn't even know what's really going on yet.
Right. No, it's and that's talked about a little bit later, and
With
a
the
lot
chef.
more in the sequel. That everybody has a little shine.
Oh, Dr. Sleep.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Haven't
I've seen that one yet.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't until
Gotta
this
watch
one.
that soon.
And yeah, that's something I didn't know. It's definitely more explained in the book, but everybody has a little bit of it. It's just most people don't know they have it, and I think that's probably a reason why everything kind of goes the way it does. Is because Danny is so strong with it because he doesn't really even have to try to do it. He just kind of somewhat naturally does it when he has a question. It just kind of happens, and he gets an answer.
So then it moves into them going to the hotel after the job interview.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And yeah, like Riley said, he's just totally fine that a family that was brutally murdered.
he's like, write that down. I'm gonna take notes.
Take notes, I'll do it later. So they get there, and like you said, being alone in any scenario when you're trying, it's not a good idea. Like naturally, humans are 100% social creatures. We have to be around other people. And also, it brings me to another thought I had was I don't think Jack was all there from the very beginning.
No.
I think he was crazy before he got there.
How far did they move from like when they got to Colorado?
So they moved to Colorado
From where? That's what I'm saying. Like how
from
far?
New something, I think.
So that's East Coast.
It's a good trip.
Yeah, it was a ways, and then have to go up into the mountains a couple hours more.
Well, it's an unfamiliar place too. Like, why would you go so far
Yeah.
to a place you've never been?
Did they ever explain why they moved? It's just
Yeah,
they did move.
he got fired from his job. Right.
Did he get fired?
He was a teacher, and then he beat the crap out of his son.
He didn't beat the crap out of his son.
out of him. He just pulled his arm out of socket.
Yeah, he came
Right,
home
on
drunk.
accident. Quote unquote on
He
accident.
was drunk, and things happen. It's not my place to. I mean, it is my place.
I'm gonna judge him. I'm judging a little
So
bit.
like that event is what alludes to like him not being completely there.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, he was then sober for a couple months.
Yeah, so he was doing good.
Yeah.
And then he gets here, and like all of his,
It all has time to just sit and fester.
his bad tendencies
Yeah.
come out again.
Which I think almost his bad tendencies start almost the day he gets there.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
it
Yeah.
starts then.
I would say so.
Do you think that's him losing his mind slowly, or you think that's like the hotel's effect on him?
Oh, it's definitely both.
Yeah.
Um,
But I mean, like, what
It's
I'm saying
explained
is, like, the
later.
hotel is haunted.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a little bit later in the movie, but for some reason, evil is held there.
Right.
For some reason or another, maybe I didn't catch it, maybe it's explained, but for some reason, evil always comes back there, and evil is trapped there.
It's because of the maze. They can't figure out how to get out of the maze.
You think this is like a well-known thing too, that everybody knows that this hotel that he's going to is haunted, or do you think it's like nobody really knows until you stay there?
It's
And
kind
then
of like my perception is it's kind of kept hush hush, because the people that offered him the job or told him to go here for the job didn't mention anything. To him
Right,
before he
right.
got there.
Yeah.
He had to get there, and they're like, "Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
Like, oh, they didn't tell you when you applied? Oh, okay. Well, we'll tell you now, even though you're here and don't really have a choice.
And I thought it was, it's like kind of a little bit foreshadowing when he's like, "It's gonna be a great time.
Right.
I'm gonna have no problem with it." And it's
Gonna
like,
be a
"Oh,
great winter.
nope, not even close."
right.
um,
So should we move into like the first day they're there?
yeah, first
the
day they're
first-
there.
First couple weeks. Well, the first day they're there, they meet the chef, and he introduces them to the all of the food and stuff, like where it's all at and how to prepare stuff. And then he talks to Danny in his brain.
Yes. Do you
Yeah.
want ice cream?
Oh, and Danny also sees ghosts. He sees
Yeah,
the two ghost girls.
He sees that
That
before.
first day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
I
he's
did
in
not
that game.
remember
he's
that.
he's sucking at darts.
Oh yeah, he's
'cause
awful
Danny
at darts.
sucks at
You
darts.
should never play darts ever.
And he
He's a
turns
kid,
around
bro.
after he gets them, and he sees
He's
the
a
two.
kid, but like still do better at darts.
And he sees the two ghost girls, and they're like, "Come play with us, Danny," or some creepy stuff
Some
like that.
creepy
They
stuff.
just walk away.
And they walk away. And Danny's like, "Come again?"
Mom, where am I at?
And that's when
And-
the shine's explained.
Right.
A little bit, yeah.
What's his name? Dick. Dick sits him down, and he.
Cook's mom, sits and talks with him in his brain. As a kid, he
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah.
explains that he had it as a child as well. and
Oh,
his grandma
right.
or
And his grandma
mom.
told him. Right.
Yeah.
Because he called him Doc, and it's something that they never.
Yeah.
They never called Danny Doc, but Dick knew that they called him Doc. Nailed it.
Because of the shine.
Because of the shine. He
Because
got
of the
into
shine.
Danny's brain.
Yeah, and then they talk through their brains.
That was weird.
Which was weird. Because I didn't really understand what was happening the first time. I was like, "Who is speaking?" Oh, he's talking to him through his mind, and then Danny's staring at him like, "Duh." He's like, "What are you doing?"
He's like, "You can't hear me, right?" Like, test, this is working.
And that's when we first learned about the room.
"The room. Stay away from
yeah.
room 237."
Well, we learned about that when Danny passed out the first time, because Tony didn't want to go. The shine that Danny has didn't want to go to that hotel.
Right.
No,
He's
but
like-
like this.
The
a
room.
specific
The room specifically.
Oh, yeah.
That's
he
the first time it's
he asked Dick, "What's in room 237?" He's like, "Stay away from room 237. Don't go in there."
Well, that means he had to have known before then, right? Danny had to have known 237 before. What?
Yeah, 237.
Okay. Yeah, he
It's
had to have known about it.
yeah, it's possible.
I feel like it was in his first memory,
I-
like that when Tony was showing him all those flashes of stuff.
My guess would
feel like
be
it was like a
oh,
cut in that.
or was it just the blood out the elevator?
It was the blood in the elevator and the girls, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Well, I've been wrong. So.
And also, it seems like a dumb scene when you watch it the first time around, but Danny and his mom walking around in the maze sets up later. Danny
Yeah.
knows how to run the maze.
Yeah,
So
I
he
feel
can,
like
I did have a
was-
question
that
about
was
that.
very smart.
Because that's when like Jack's just tossing the ball and whatnot.
Yeah,
But-
he's throwing the ball against the wall.
As
Yeah,
hard
it's
as
like
he can.
it's a beautiful painting on the wall, and he's just destroying it with a tennis ball.
But like, my question is this whole movie: does Jack have the shine? Because you mentioned in the sequel they say everybody has a shine. Because
So he has some connection with the hotel. With the hotel, there has to be something there because he didn't really understand anything before he got to the hotel, and honestly, he's not shown really before he gets in the hotel.
does he see them in that little model maze, or is that just kind of a?
I think
overview?
that was just a shot from it. I think that was just a particular shot, like a shot choice from the director.
Like from outside.
Because when I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, that's super cool that he could see him in the maze." But I think it's just like an aerial view of outside.
Okay.
Or he does have the shine and he did see them.
Or if he does,
That would make sense.
Or if he does,
But if he does,
it's possible.
why didn't he use it again? Why didn't he use it when he was chasing?
Well, he was in the maze. He didn't have the board in front of him.
The sequels, do they carry on from the first movie, or are they different? Like, just completely
It
different?
follows Danny.
It does? Okay.
Is Danny the main guy in the sequel?
Played by old Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ian McGregor.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Pretty cool. So Jack Nicholson, just want to say real quick, he plays crazy perfectly. Nobody plays crazy like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
It's the eyebrows. 100%.
Oh, it
his
definitely
eyebrows.
is the eyebrows.
It's
It's
the
the
eyebrows.
eyebrows and the hairline.
Totally the hair.
Like 100%.
And all
That's
of his
another
face
thing.
wrinkles, too. Like, it just
Oh yeah.
goes together.
His hair changes through the movie. It's kind of like he does it himself, and then eventually, as he gets crazier and crazier, his hair just looks nuts. It's like slicked back, completely flat to his head almost. But like, that's just he plays crazy so well. He plays the Joker, right? He plays
Yes, he
He
did.
did.
The
He
old
played.
Joker.
He played. I think it was like the second big incarnation of the Joker. The first one was I can't remember his name, but there was a 60s TV show.
Adam West Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that show. There was a Joker then, which was, it was pretty good for the time. But then Jack Nicholson's Joker comes along, and that's like the standard of
Yeah.
like the Joker for a long time.
Yeah, I've only ever seen him as the Joker and then Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Like, people talk about it.
Yeah, no, those two, they're top two.
Joaquin Phoenix did very good in the movie Joker. But
Correct.
I don't know how that's going to play out as him going murderous.
Right, and
More
apparently there's
rather than
a
just
sequel
crazy.
to that one.
Yeah, I'm looking
Um,
forward to the sequel.
He's also in The Departed.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's a really good movie.
The-
I like
the
that movie a lot.
Yeah, he's like the head guy. So what was after that? So we talked about the maze. What would be the next part after that?
Can we talk about him typewriting like the entire time?
Yes.
So he's been typewriting this whole this whole book.
Mhm.
You think that he's getting through it, and then they show you that it just says, "All work and no play make Jack a dull boy."
That's
right?
what I was wondering. Because
That's nuts.
obviously he would have known that because he wasn't nuts the whole time. He's just slowly getting there.
Right.
But then also what I was wondering for like what you pick your guys' brain, he typed it like it was an actual thing. Like he indented, had like the insight
Yeah.
text. Do you
It
think
was-
like it was encoded? Like in his brain, he knew what he wanted to type.
I almost
But-
wonder if he thought he was typing a book. Like when she looked through it, he was gonna be mad because she was moving the pages out of order. Like if he looked back at it, he's like, "Oh yeah, those are words. Those are words."
I don't know that because that was like his big snapping point where he was like after he talked to the butler.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, we need to talk about the bar scene.
Yes.
Real quick, I just
Okay.
wanted to play a scene from the movie itself where it's him losing it.
Wait, which scene is this?
It's when she has the baseball bat.
Oh, and she's
Oh, so this is where
yeah.
she finds out about the
Yeah,
the words.
she finds the thing and he's well, I'll just
What good's a few minutes more gonna do you now?
Stay away from me. Please. Don't hurt me.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
Stay away from me.
Wendy,
Stay away.
darling, light of my life, I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
perfect. Like
he
it's
is
that-
losing it.
yeah, he's gone at that point. And
Light of my life. I'm going
I'm
to
not gonna hurt
bash
you.
your brains in.
it's terrifying, and it's absolutely perfect. It's absolutely what the scene needed to be to like convince us, like, oh my God, she's in trouble. Danny's in trouble. They need to leave right now.
Right.
Well, when Danny came with the scratches on him after going into the room, so Danny goes into room whatever 3 something
237.
237. I'm never gonna remember that number. When Danny goes in there, he goes into the bathroom. Why does he go in the bathroom? And then the lady in the bathroom attacks him, and he comes downstairs with his sweater all torn.
Yeah.
And he like talks to his mom. He goes, he doesn't even talk.
Right.
Because
she's
so
just
scared.
like, what happened? What'd you do?
Right.
You did this.
Yeah. Then she blames the husband.
And his face,
he's like, what?
Oh, that's just after his bad dream. By the way.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Where he said
directly after it.
He said that he's gonna. So Riley and I talked about this when we watched it too. That scene where he wakes up from the dream and he talks about killing.
He had a dream that he killed them.
Kills
right?
Danny and Wendy.
Yeah.
And he's scared and he's crying and he's got like slobber and stuff going down. I'm thinking right there he's trying to fight whatever evil is coming into him, controlling him, whatever. And he's like, I'm scared. This is gonna happen. I know this is gonna happen, and I can't stop it.
Do we ever see him out of the hotel? Like,
Technically,
we
yes.
saw? Okay,
The very beginning.
I was gonna say because like
And the end.
in the maze, yeah.
well, that's part of the hotel's grounds.
No, he doesn't ever leave once he gets.
Well, he went back home, right? He called his wife and he's like, I'm gonna stay up here for a little bit, but you guys should pack up. We're gonna move or something. I feel like, oh no, we saw him in the car, so never mind.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like, because later on, the bartender or whatever, he's like, you've always been here.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was like, maybe we never saw him actually out of the hotel. That would be crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the whole like the deal where like evil is trapped in the hotel.
Yeah.
The evil part of Jack, I think, is
Oh,
always-
that makes more
always-
sense. That
always
makes more
there.
sense. Yeah.
I want to add on to yours. I think like he wasn't scared of like what happened. I just feel like he's scared because he feel like he will do like it's going to happen, like you said, but like he's scared that he would actually do that thing he saw himself doing. Because no one wants to admit they do a bad thing, and in the fact that he felt like he possibly could have or will.
Oh yeah,
Scared the hell out of him.
and you could probably dive into that even further. Yeah, talking about like the human like psyche itself, or like we say, oh, I'm gonna be the good person every time, every scenario, I'm gonna do the right and good thing. And I think sometimes when like people are put in like super desperate situations, they probably don't always do the best looking thing.
That's like the human psyche though.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, I would never ever do awful things, but
Yeah.
if I had the opportunity,
with no consequences.
right?
Yeah, nobody around.
Isolation.
Yeah.
That's
Isolation.
isolation.
Total
right there.
isolation.
So
Can we go back to the bar scene? Not like the
Okay,
big party,
yeah.
but the first time he walks
first
in there,
time,
right
he's-
after being accused.
before the bartender shows up, he goes, "I would trade my soul for a beer right now."
Mm-hmm.
And then, bam, the barkeep shows up, and there's liquor behind him, and he gives him alcohol.
And I think at
in
that
my
point it's
head-
over.
In my head, that's like, this is the devil giving him a drink so he could get his soul.
Yeah,
And then he loses his sanity.
that
Mm-hmm.
that,
That
makes
makes
sense.
100% sense.
And the more drinks that he had, even though there's no alcohol,
And there's no
That's what I'm saying. Is that
and all
in
the
his head?
people are there, and all the people show up. None of that's there.
the more drinks he has, the more his soul is gone, and he becomes crazier. and
Right.
But he's not actually drinking alcohol.
Correct.
Right. He's not even using a glass. There's no glass.
Yeah,
Because
wanna
the
make
They
sure-
bartender
say
gave
they
it
take
all
it.
to him.
Yeah, they say in the beginning there. It's like he says something like,
They
"Yeah, we
clean
don't drink," and he's like,
everything and-
"That'll work perfectly because we take it all away." So yeah, it's all.
Could you
Oh,
guys
there's
tie that back to like his demons? Because like that's what brought him here in the first
Yeah.
place.
Or like
right?
that term, your inner demons can be like
Because if he's not actually drinking right,
Right.
that means he's accepting his demons. He's adding more on, and
Mm-hmm.
he's getting worse. To the movie.
definitely
He's losing it.
he's gone. He's absolutely gone.
Which after that first drink leads to that incident in room 237.
Yeah, where he goes and makes out with the ghost lady.
Oh, that was a scarring scene.
See, now here's the thing, right?
She was very pretty. And
Until,
then she just got
Then she
very,
turned into
very
disgusting.
Like
Disgusting.
decaying skin,
Oh,
like
Oh my
waterlogged.
And that girl was 100% murdered in that bathtub.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Is there any story behind that besides maybe she's someone that got killed there?
I think the
Yeah.
daughters were chopped up in the hallways, right?
So you think that's
Oh,
So
is that
that's
the
why
wife?
they're in the hallways, and that was his wife, who he probably choked out in the bathtub while she was taking a nice, relaxing bath.
Mm,
And then
the girls.
the girls.
Now here's my next thing I was gonna say. The kid goes in there who's innocent, right, and is a threat to the hotel based
Right.
off the butler's
Yeah.
words.
Right.
He gets choked out.
correct.
Because I think the ghost can tell he has the shine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if she does
He says
not
that.
want the shine near her, she would attack.
So he got attacked. Then when his dad goes in there, who's already sold his soul for alcohol,
He's accepted, man.
He gets
he gets
accepted.
he gets made out with in that room. So, what do you guys think? Like, is it like?
But
the
then it
hotel-
quickly turned.
What is the
Like-
hotel? Is the hotel
she
her
still doesn't-
then? Is that what you mean?
like
Is she the hotel?
I don't
No,
know.
it's
the
like, do you mean that the hotel's accepting him?
yeah,
Or
like accepting the evil into the hotel, right? Like,
and then he's
they-
scared.
they-
And then he's scared for a second,
Oh, I would be scared
Yeah.
too.
which I find like
Making
interesting
out with a beautiful
too.
woman and she turns into an old lady. with
Is that
all
like
scars.
his last little moment of actual emotion,
sanity?
where he's like, "Yeah, that's spooky," and he runs away, but then he goes back to the bar.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously go back to
And then
the
there's a
bar.
party, and then it's all fine. It's smoke and mirrors, and he's having a good time. And then he convinces him, and then he meets the butler dude in the bathroom, and he's like, he gives him the name, and I was like, that's the
guy.
dude who murdered his family. And he tells him about his family needed, I think they needed corrected or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh,
And Danny
dude.
also needs corrected.
I can't-
And
He's like, you should correct your family as well. They're
Kill-
using
and
the
then
word corrected instead
and then
of
they also drop a word. You know.
Oh yeah,
they
the
drop
N-word.
a word.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
yeah.
That
they-
was
Which I didn't expect it
I
coming at
wasn't
all.
either. I
well,
was
it was that time period.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
correct, but like also I was not.
And so
thinking-
and these people, I guess, in the hotel are like even older. So like they have,
Yeah,
No
they're from like
problem.
1920.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the picture said 1920, July 4th, 1920 something.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one question. It could like come up later, and so we can not talk about it now. The butler said, "You have always been here."
Exactly.
Does that come on later, and we should talk about it later, or do we talk about it now?
Oh
But-
yeah, you skipped the last few minutes, so yeah, it comes on later.
Okay. Well, we'll talk
Yeah,
about it.
no, definitely. And yeah, I kind of wrote down he gave up his soul, like to what? To booze, which it gives up to booze. What's that mean? He drinks. So the more, like you said, the more he drinks, the more he loses it. And like I think we kind of established that since the booze don't actually mean anything because the booze aren't there.
Right. It's that he would have done
Yeah.
anything
It's just
for
he's
booze at that
spiraling downwards.
I think that scene in the bathroom also adds on to like him selling his soul and just committing to the evil part of him.
point. Yeah.
Because think about it, like that's technically cheating on his wife. He's going to another woman,
Absolutely.
and
Right.
he didn't hesitate one bit. He just stood there and smiled.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Creepily smiled.
Yeah.
Very
oh
creepy.
my goodness.
And so
He's
that
nuts.
was a question I also had. So the caretaker is almost kind of like the position of caretaker is almost reincarnated every time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's what I was thinking.
Because the guy, because who knows how many have actually been there. The guy told us of one, and he barely told Jack about it. So I don't know. I'm thinking there's
Well,
some things that go on at this hotel.
Obviously, there's one before him because he was the butler before
Even-
he was a
so
caretaker.
that's the thing. The butler, the guy who's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the butler guy in the bathroom." He said, "I've never been the caretaker over the winter. I've never done that." So maybe it was actually Jack the whole time, and it was just they used a different name.
In loop.
Yeah.
And I think not only Jack is trapped here. I think like all the people in like that photo.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
everybody's trapped there.
How?
See,
Are they what drives him nuts?
I think it's just the evil. I think you're constantly reliving the horrors you went
Well,
through.
those people are all in that bar, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it the bar? Is it the booze? That's like
Evil is trapped in
Just-
that room.
Because there's always been like
Probably.
a, I don't know what you want to call it, but like there's always been like evil kind of like attached to drinking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Smoking,
Spirits and
spirits. So I feel like that's also added into it, right? Because I'm guessing that was like kind of like near the prohibition time as well, whereas breaking the law to do that thing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell you if it's like the position itself is destined to choose a victim like every year.
I guarantee it couldn't be every year. Because if it was every year, they wouldn't. They would just be like, you know what? We'll just let it decay over the winter.
Or
I'm tired of
Like-
paying for people's lives.
or like someone said, they kind of keep it hush hush.
That would
Why
be
would you
true.
tell them about the one person that, like, why would you tell them like, oh yeah, this did
Well,
happen this one time?
Maybe
Yeah, why would you
because
tell
it-
them at all?
Yeah.
Maybe because there's like the one time, like this was a freak thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I.
But if there's a pattern of it, they don't want to tell you that.
most of the time, people don't go nuts because they love their family.
Right.
now. If we're getting into the booze is kind of what started it. Did Stephen King did he struggle with anything like that? Like, is it,
Did he have any devils
like maybe he was
or demons?
know.
That's what they're called. Anyway,
demons?
when you
Maybe.
struggle with something.
Because I know like writers and directors, they both do that. Like
Yeah.
stuff from their own lines they put into
Yeah.
their work.
Right. So that's why I'm wondering is like, if Stephen had like, something with alcohol, if that was like his demon.
His way out.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that, I guess, like you said, lots of people put their stuff into their movies and such, but
He did.
he did
He
have
did
a
have a
problem.
drinking problem.
Ooh.
Dipped into other things such as cigarettes and cocaine.
Ooh, that's a
Wow,
good
did
one.
not know that.
So
actually.
yeah,
did
so
show the-
there was some substance. So that's also that's interesting. That's probably. I mean, that's obviously why he probably chose
Yeah,
Yeah.
alcohol as the symbol of destroying
right.
your
Because
family.
There's
Yeah.
white powder falling from the sky, so you can't.
Yeah,
choose.
in
you
the
can't
party.
really choose.
Oh, the powder, the snow.
The snow, right?
the
but-
joke there was it was.
That might be going too deep into it. I don't know how.
Obviously not.
Did Jack ever smoke? Did Jack smoke in the movie?
His
don't
wife
remember.
did.
She did.
That's what I was about to say. His wife did. 100%, because that's like her stress reliever every time. She's like pacing the room smoking as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know.
I don't know.
I really want to talk about the final chase.
So the
Yes.
I think that's really, for the most part, what's left. I think kind of substance kind of to talk about was. So yeah, he absolutely loses it, and then one of the most fantastic lines of all time when he's breaking down the door. Which, fun fact,
It's
Jack
not
Nicholson.
even his name. It's not his name. He
Here's
goes,
Johnny.
"Here's Johnny." That's not his name. His
Jack.
name's Jack. So I don't understand where that
but
comes
that
from.
could tie into like the whole like
Where he's not
like,
himself at that point.
reincarnation thing, where like
Ooh.
each caretaker is constantly
Is a different name
is a different name, and Johnny could have been like the original guy, that,
or the next one?
or it could be the next one. I don't know.
Yo, I didn't think
Um,
about that. That's nuts.
So the door he kept breaking down. They used a fake door the first couple times, but Jack Nicholson was breaking them too easily. Like he'd do one swing and the thing was basically down, so they had to use a real door. And yeah, that's how you get that iconic line. And like Riley said, that window where the snow is, it's a real good thing the snow is that high, or else that would have been kind of a drop.
That would have been awful ending to the movie. They just jump out the window.
Break their leg and Jack gets up.
They were playing that since the beginning because like I was watching as the movie went on. They showed the outside.
Oh.
You could see it constantly building more and more, and it basically goes to the top window,
Yeah.
like by the last scene of the snow outside.
And then
Well, she was stuck. She couldn't get out.
right.
My thing is, break the window. Just break it. She's
Maybe
like,
she wasn't
"Oh,
that. Maybe
God,
she
I
wasn't that
can't."
strong.
She didn't even try.
Yeah. There's the toilet seat. Like the back of a toilet comes off. Use that. Smash the glass in.
Rip the sink off the wall, throw it out the window.
She did. If
that's
she's
what
not
it
strong enough to.
If we're thinking about it, she didn't even try. This
She
is all
did.
her fault.
No, she really didn't. Use the knife, jimmy it. Stab it in there and move it around.
And then, when you think horror movie, you often think like blood, gore, kills, in this one, you only get one.
Yeah.
There's one death, and it's pretty shocking.
It's
like
the saddest death
They
I've
do
seen.
a lot. They do a really good work with this death because it's suspenseful. The building where he's walking down the hallway. It's all the old tricks. Suspenseful walking down the hallway. It's very quiet. Then boom, loud noises. You know, there's death. There's cuts back and forth to Danny. He dies, and it really sucks because Dick.
Danny doesn't die. Dick dies.
No, it cuts back to Danny freaking out because.
Oh yeah, because he saw it happen.
He's like screaming and he's like, "Oh my god!"
Through the shine.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
And then it really sucks because Dick was so cool.
He was such a nice guy. He really cared for Danny, and it was
He's gonna teach him about it.
exactly. If he just could have survived the winter, he would have taught him how to use it correctly.
I'm gonna kind of jump back a little bit there about the shine and like with Dick. Did Danny purposely send a message to Dick all the way down in Florida, or did Dick just pick up on the kid
So
like distress signal?
I think
Just
Dick
from what we
can
saw-
just see where
Yeah.
things are at whenever he would like to. So he sensed that something was going on at the hotel, and he called the police officers or whatever on scene, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, we haven't heard from them in a while." So
Speaking of the hotel, what kind of paintings are at that hotel that Dick was staying in?
I think
Yeah.
that was his house.
That was his
Oh, that was
house.
his house.
That was his
Yo,
house.
my boy.
Dude had
Yeah.
some crazy paintings.
Emma pointed out like the 2-foot afro.
Yes.
That was insane.
The zoom out from the TV and this girl with a huge afro. I mean, like past her shoulders.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's living it up.
he was, just, he was living.
He didn't deserve it.
And
He didn't
now
go
he's
down
not,
like that.
So, spoiler alerts. We should have said that. At the very beginning.
Oops, Dick dies. After we said it like
Oh yeah,
5
oops.
minutes ago.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry guys. But so Danny, he's hidden. He's actually like really well hidden
He's hidden
inside
in
of that metal
Yeah.
container. And then
Jack yells, "Danny,"
Yeah,
and then
Jack
he gets
yells
out.
Danny
You're hidden.
down the hallway, and Danny goes, "Oh, this is the time. This is the time I should run right now." So he hops out, just the worst timing possible, as his dad's looking
And-
directly at him.
And Jack doesn't have a limp. It's over.
Oh, absolutely.
And the limp,
The
goes
limp's
back
from
to
falling down the stairs.
right. No, it's
Yeah.
it's definitely set up, but it goes back to the rules of horror, like way back in the day, 1930s, the Mummy stereotype, where that it has to shuffle.
can't
It
run.
shuffled. You can't run, so
It makes things scarier
that
because
it's
you can't run. I guess they don't run.
they don't run.
Well, like
Mummy?
the horror monsters and like the monsters,
Yeah.
the bad guys, they don't really hustle,
Right.
and that builds suspense so
Like
well.
when are they gonna get there?
Yeah,
Oh my god, he's taking his time. When's he gonna get there?
and then how did he get there so fast? If he's walking,
They just
how did
show
he
up.
turn around and get there?
Every time the camera cuts away, they're just.
Yeah, as soon as the camera's gone, they sprint.
But I think when they're out in the cold, it's probably just the cold affecting the human body. But Jack just turns animalistic. Like he's just like
Yeah.
like he's just yelling at the top of his lungs. He's going hoarse and he's spinning around. His eyes are just like
They're
bulging and like going up in his head. And then that final image of him like frozen. Honestly, I felt bad for him because Jack. It's just the evil part of Jack that
Before
took
I
him
had
over.
seen the movie, I thought that was from a different movie. I thought it was from an Adam Sandler movie
the
where the
image
guy
of him
got
frozen.
frozen. Yeah.
Was it
It was
Mr. Deeds?
Mr. Deeds. I thought it was the guy frozen on a mountain. It turns out it was a guy frozen on a mountain, but he was a bad guy. So.
Basically the same movie.
Yeah, no, they are. I mean, he gets rich. This guy freezes on a mountain.
And then Adam
Same
Sandler kills his entire
thing. Oh, yeah.
But I honestly felt bad for him because he's just frozen and alone and
Nobody's there.
and nobody's there. He's
Nobody's
all
going to be there for a couple more months.
right.
Because the good part of him really did love
Yeah,
his
he
family.
loved his family. He had issues, but who doesn't? It's just when those bad parts you take over, that's when you get in trouble. Not to say you'll move to a hotel and murder your family, but it's it's something kind of cool. That it's another, I guess, kind of underlying theme that this movie looks at and kind of takes note of, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I also, if he didn't steal the spark plugs out of the what is it, the Razor Cat?
Oh yeah,
they would have been gone forever. Like they would have been gone, and he would have just lived the rest of his life there. Everybody would have been alive. Everything would have been fine if he just didn't steal the spark plugs.
Oh, for
out of the Hellcat,
that snowmobile or whatever,
or something track.
Yeah, it's a big thing that moves in snow.
Yeah,
and then he took it out of the radio.
Dude, oh
yes,
and that was a good little twist where she was like, "We're gonna leave," and he's like,
"Check
how?
It. Go check.
How are you gonna leave?" And I'm like, "Oh no!" And then, that was a scene that kind of pissed me off too. Or like he's stuck in the freezer or like the pantry or whatever.
He's stuck in the pantry.
And the ghost opens the door.
How does that happen? He's like, "Let me out," and then he's like, "Okay,
I'm gonna give you one more chance, and you go get him.
Go discipline him." Oh my goodness!
And he opens the door, and I'm like, "Ugh."
All right, so let's talk about the very last scene, and then we'll wrap it
Frozen.
up.
It's Frozen.
Well, I'm talking about where they show the picture.
Where
what we were talking about
where
earlier.
he zooms in and it shows Jack. And
So when the
and
guy's
it's
like,
obviously
"You've
19.
always been here."
It's obviously not June 22nd. Or no, July 4th.
July 4th, 1920.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Jack at that party on July 4th, 1920.
That original party that was in the
original party.
ballroom.
Yep. And he obviously, wasn't there because he wasn't even born yet.
Somehow he's always been at the hotel.
And that's where the loop kind of thing comes.
That's
it makes
where
me
the
wonder,
comes
was that picture there the entire time?
Imagine.
If they just walked past and they
He's
saw
just
Jack
just
in
been
the photo.
walking by.
The Wheel of Fortune.
Or
guy,
did it
he's
come-
Like, "Hey, that looks just like
After
you."
he died, his soul went to the hotel, and now it's in the picture.
That's what I was wondering too. Like, did he just appear after his soul just went to the?
I feel like that last
Oh.
part you said
Hotel.
there, where he went back, like it.
When you
becomes
die at
part
the
of it.
hotel, you get stuck
You
in the
stay
photo.
at the hotel.
Do you think everybody in those photos are people at the hotel stuck?
Yeah, could be.
That would be crazy.
A lot of people died at that hotel.
That would be a lot of deaths at the hotel that nobody's talked about.
Which would then
Where the
conclude to our-
girls? The girls and the wife aren't in the picture, so it
Did you
can't
look?
be
Maybe
everybody who died.
that's the evil.
Did you look?
the girls.
Oh yeah, they were innocent.
What's the evil?
Yeah, they were.
Maybe
innocent.
that's the evil.
The evil was the party. They threw a party in.
People died.
In alcohol
People
time.
somehow died. Gaslight. You said there was a gaslight. Dude, what if all the people died?
What if it was all in somebody's head and it was just a gas leak? Like it was just like the gas lines got a little twisted, and
Like-
then he flipped out.
Like the movies where it's like this really intense thing during the entire time, and at the end it's just a dream. It's all just a dream.
Exactly.
That's all it was. But yeah, for the most part, like if I don't, not a huge fan of rating scales because I think they change just about every time you watch a movie.
Yeah. I mean, they have to, right?
Right.
Because
Everything's
you notice something different, or you dislike something that you didn't see previously. You're always going to change when you watch the movie. But I guess just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Why? Tell me why you gave it a
7 out of 10. Because a lot of it has to do with nostalgia. Because I first watched this movie when I was super young. Which, why? Why did I watch this movie when I was super young?
We watched a lot of horror movies when we were
Watched
kids.
a lot of horror movies.
I
Super
watched
young.
The Saws when I was in like 3rd grade on
You guys are
accident.
nuts.
I was on
You guys are
accident.
nuts.
What else did I? Cujo, Chucky, yeah. Those. I mean, Cujo was bad.
Cujo's about a dog, right?
Yeah, that kills people.
But it was because the bat bit him.
Yep.
It's not his fault.
It's Bat's fault. Bat's fault.
It's always the bat's fault.
So why?
So
besides
7 out of
nostalgia,
10
Why?
because a lot of it has to do with nostalgia. I think because of the idea of. I mean, I think it's a really good idea, and it's also super unique. And I think the execution of the movie is super well. Like, I think if it would have been super bad, also if you would have different actors in this movie,
Different actors
it could
would
have
definitely
flopped
affect it.
hard. Like, I don't think anybody during that time could have topped Jack Nicholson.
Nobody
It's
plays
crazy. And so performance, the shots in the movie, kind of just the story itself and this idea of, kind of alluding to this thing, The Shine.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really explain it in its full, which I like with horror movies when it keeps stuff mysterious.
Like at the end of it, you're like, come on, just tell me, just
What the
give
shine-
me
what's the
the
shine?
whole story, please.
But kind of where I fault it is there was kind of some weird editing choices with some. I think we talked a little bit about there's some cuts that are
It's just
kind of odd, and then in some stuff I can forgive it because it's 1980, so sound design and wasn't it isn't near what it is now. But just a few little nitpicks here and there is why I kind of dock it a little bit lower. So yeah, that's kind of my rating.
All right. I would also give it a 7 out of 10.
You guys are generous.
Really? Oh
Yes.
boy. So I stayed with Devin, nostalgic, watched it as a kid, and then I rated it a little bit higher because I was actually more into it this time I watched it, and maybe because I'm older now and I actually understand what's kind of going on, but like the suspense was killing me the whole time, and it actually kind of kept me on the edge of my seat, wanting to see what happens next, because I forgot about a lot of it since the last time I watched it.
Oh, and real quick, I think where the movie halts a little bit too is just that opening again where it drags.
The
Like
car.
it's super boring. The
Definitely.
first 45, 30 minutes, which actually you could put a spin on it, like in other horror movies from that time period. That was the point. The point was it's supposed to be kind of dull, because when it ramps up, you remember when it ramps up, and like because obviously towards the end when
Yeah.
everything goes south, you remember everything because it's like you thought this was normal. Nope.
It's sort of that
It's
slow
crazy.
burn. It's the slow burn that just kills.
All right.
So then what would you rate it?
yeah, let's hear yours now. If that's
All right. So I'd say a 10 out of 10 movie would have to be like I either cried during the movie, I
Oh.
laughed my head off, or I crapped my pants because I was so scared. So this movie,
You have to have emotion, like
yes,
severe
there
emotion.
has to be some kind of emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and this one had nothing,
for you, had nothing.
Nothing, no
nothing
emotion.
at all.
You
I've
weren't-
noticed
you
with
weren't-
you, Riley, like movies are like bottom tier for you.
They are so bad.
Ooh,
So this one, I'd have to give it a 5, a 5 or a
five.
6.
okay.
That's better than I
Because-
thought.
Positive though.
It
Positive.
is positive. It's above a 50. I mean, you're still failing. But it's above a 50. Just because it's so slow.
It is slow.
It is so slow, and even like when it ramps up, it's like, okay, where is it at? What is happening here?
Oh,
So like
so
the chase
Gotcha.
was good, but
you don't know what's happening really.
right, he's just like he's running in a maze, I guess, nuts, and the kid, he's like that dude. The maze scene, the kid gets smart.
Oh, it's super smart.
He walks backwards and then he brushes his footprints. So smart. But like if I was the dad, I would have realized that. I feel like I would have realized that.
I
You know,
yeah.
you see that the footprints stop and you're like, I'll just keep going. So that's the point that I'm like, come on.
It also got to the point, right, where there's enough snowfall that all their tracks were covered up to, so you couldn't find his way out.
I mean, it was snowing, but it wasn't snowing that hard.
But if he actually got stuck in a maze, it'd be snowing.
Depends how long he's in there, and
Yeah.
it definitely would have covered it up though.
Well, he was in there for a while. He got froze.
Right. But no, I know what you mean. Like, so because you don't fully understand what's happening, which I understand it. When you don't know what's happening in a movie, the stakes are kind of depleted a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you don't. So if you don't know what's happening, and
I
why
watched
do I
the
care?
whole movie and I still was confused at the end. Like, I mean, I'm a pretty smart guy, you know, and if I can't understand the movie, there's kind of an issue. I guess. Wait, I'm not that smart.
maybe it's
It's
above.
too smart.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6.5, 7. Probably simply because of the acting. Like, Jack Nicholson is fantastic. And if we're right about the theory with Stephen King being having a drinking problem, tying that to Jack's evil, I think that's really cool.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, no. For the most part, it's I think, I mean, if you want to get into horror, I think there might be better ones to start off with, because this one, it's fairly confusing.
It's also so slow. Like if you really like being jump scared, this is not the movie that you want to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Not that type of horror. But for the most part, I think it does what it sets out to do, though. It's this horror in isolation, and it sticks to that the entire time. But yeah, no, for the most part, I liked it. Do we have any
Closing
extra
remarks?
ideas, criticisms, wrap-ups?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, if you've listened this far and you have any ideas or any suggestions on movies that you'd like to hear about, please email us at anybody want to give their email? We're going to make an email.
silverscreen@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's it.
silverscreen@gmail.com. And we'll look through those and we'll get those going. All right?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're throughout these couple of reviews during the month of October, we're going to be doing spooky movies. So
If you
any
have
suggestions
any
there?
suggestions for like other months based on certain types of movies, give us those as well.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm bad at ideas. But yeah, thank
I'm
you.
not much of a horror film person, so I'm just like sitting back here while you guys are talking.
We'll definitely get to the other ones soon. But yeah, thank you guys, everyone who listened, and we'll see you all next time.